Hello.
Hello again.
I am very confused.
Sounds like a Monday.
Oh, well, my Monday's nearly over now, so, yeah, slightly concerned.
Yeah, I mean, at worst, she possibly sent that PR and reverted the commit, and then that was just wrong. But as you say, as I noticed before, this is all discussion from 2020. So whatever the answer is, that PR was a year after this. I think this is all a mess, though. I mean, I've said this before. I think this part of the spec doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I think people just make up at this point what they want the keyword to do. And
is this the format thing?
Yeah.
Julian, you're frozen.
He is indeed.
He's taking a nap.
Yeah. There's a. I was like, hang on, do we have tests to make sure that the annotation only behavior from format in the latest spec actually is tested? And the answer is we did, but they were reverted in a PR. And like, hang on, so when did this change in the meta schema to use the format annotation vocabulary set to true as opposed to the old format false? And I found the commit, but I can't find the associated PR. So I don't really recall what happened at that time.
The PR should be listed up at the top in the right-hand corner, next to the branch name, I think.
It
should have a.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be. So I'll have a look at that tomorrow.
Is this the PR for the tests that ensure that formats only look at the specific data type that they're supposed to? Or is this something else?
I'm not sure. I only just briefly looked at this. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about it later. Who knows? I'll have it tomorrow. And
yep.
Anyhow. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Can we start? Okay, let's go. I'm going to share my screen. As always, let's start with the meeting etiquette. We are going to record this session initially to share it with the community. And if there is no one against sharing this in YouTube, I'll share it. If there is someone in this meeting that prefer not to share this in YouTube, just reach out to me privately and I'll take care. We encourage everyone to challenge any language or behavior that is harmful or not inclusive or against our code of conduct. We suggest stay on mute when someone else is speaking and use their reactions to ask for turn to speak. That's it. And for today, this is the agenda. First, we'll review the action items from the past meeting. I'd like to take a minute to discuss together what are the pull requests that are pending to review. I think that there are some. So just to see if we are missing something, I think that is a good habit from time to time, just to make sure that we are providing feedback for the people, to other people's work. There is one item from Greg for next steps regarding the support unknown keywords. And finally, related to issue 360 from my side, there is an opportunity to apply to a program called Sovereign Tech Fund, and I'd like to get your feedback. And if you agree, get a first suggestions about what the content might be for that application. If you want to add something to the agenda, just directly edit the issue and add your topic, and we will discuss that when the other items are complete. Any comment so far? Okay. Let's take a look to the action items of the past weeks Open Community Wiki meeting. There is one action item from Ben to reach out the OpenJS Foundation to clarify the legal aspects of trademark, logo, and some suggestions about what to do with the old GitHub organization. Is there any progress with that, Ben?
I did have a call with someone this last week, but we didn't get to that topic, so it'll go back on the list of things for me to ask about from the OpenJS Foundation. So no, we haven't had any movement on that.
Do we need a specific issue to track the progress, or is enough with this action item in this one?
I think it's enough from that. I mean, we could have it as an issue, so I could report back. Yeah, I guess that doesn't hurt. Let's make an issue.
Cool. The next action item was for all of us to provide feedback and review the pull request for the JSON Schema charter. I think that, I mean, I didn't review if someone is pending, but I saw a lot of activity there, so probably this is complete, right?
Yeah, thank you for all feedback. I think that's received quite a bit of feedback. I would have liked some more feedback, but I have a few changes to make, and then I'll move that into non-draft status and await the final review from everybody. I think I only have a few minor changes to make as a result of that, particularly around the timings of how the process can work. So we'll see how that goes forward.
Great. Next action item was from my side regarding complete the application for Google Season of Docs program. I submitted 1 day before the deadline. The reply is supposed to arrive next Friday, so I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully, if we was rejected, we were rejected for the Google Season of Google Summer of Code. I hope we will be selected for Google Season of Docs, and our use case was pretty solid. So let's see how it goes. So I'm going to mark this as complete. Thank you for the feedback to everyone that took a look to the document. So super helpful. Thank you. And the last item is on my side, and it was starting an issue to work the vision for our docs. I didn't open the issue yet, so I hope to get that done this week to start discussing about what I mean. It's self-explanatory. Find alignment to what we expect from our docs. Any comment before starting today's agenda? Okay, let's go with the first point. A quick reminder about the pull request that requires some feedback or review. I like to use one comment from Greg when he was asking for feedback with all those pull requests. 1369 with use case and requirements for documentation. If you can take a look to this one, that will help a lot.
And the purple ones are closed.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Okay. Next one, output spec 1385. Explicit annotations 1387, and add minimum open time action for pull requests 1389. Is there any other pull request that is pending feedback from someone else in this meeting? Okay, then, so please, if you have time this week, give a review. Honestly, from my side, I still don't feel prepared to provide solid feedback for spec stuff, but I did review the action, the GitHub action, and looks good for me. So this is why I'm not engaged in the other discussions.
I saw that. Thank you.
There is a GitHub Slack integration which enables us to enable reminders for pull requests that are waiting to be reviewed. So if there's interest in that, we could have a look at setting that and configuring that. Looks like it could be useful. Does anybody have any thoughts on whether that they think that might be useful or not? I'll drop the link in the chat.
Can be interesting. We can try it out. If it's not too spammy.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. If I'm not entirely sure how it works. It might be it works on specific teams. But yeah, I'd have to have a look at the specifics, but that could be useful. And you can configure it so it only works on certain labels as well, or only works for PRs with certain labels. So there are a few different options, I think, and I'll have a look and see what options are likely to make the most sense for us.
For me, it sounds good. I'm doing still some testing to the GitHub action to get the pull request added in the agenda. So the timing is right for, if you want me to do some testing with that one, I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, have a look and see if you can set it up, and we'll see if there's any problems or we need to tweak it, and then we'll see how that goes.
Okay, I will take the action item. Just share the link with the action, with the action, and I'll play with that. Any comment regarding pull request before jumping to the next topic? Okay, let's go with the next one, Greg. All yours.
All right, so we've had the still kind of supporting unknown keywords discussion going for a month and a half now. We've got a lot of good suggestions, got some good feedback from Benjamin's survey thing that he put out. Looks like the leading contender for a prefix, which seems to be the way that we want to go with this, is the X dash. There's been some comments and discussion around that one specifically. Jason raised some concern that there is within the HTTP community for headers, some advice to not use X dash specifically for that application because it denoted experimental headers, but then those headers would make it out into production and they can't change them once they're done or once they're in production. So the X dash just kind of stays with it. It's kind of a life cycle issue with that. I do remember, Jason, you said, I think last time or the time before, that's not necessarily an issue that we will have because we're explicitly stating this is how you're going to specify your annotation keywords. And that's not something that we're saying this is experimental and then it's going to move away from the experimental into something else. It will always have that prefix on there. With that and the survey results, I am leaning more towards using the X dash as well. I think Karen preferred it. So I think that's going to be my official recommendation, is use the X dash prefix for that. I do have a PR open for it. It's one of the ones that Benjamin mentioned, 1387. Jason, you had looked at it before. In that, I used the @ symbol. Simple enough to change that to X dash or whatever we want. But I think, Jason, you wanted to, excuse me, I think you wanted to have a stab at incorporating this into the spec in a different way that I did. So I'm going to leave this open until you have a chance to look at that. Going back to the discussion, there were some late entries. Looks like Soren had a series of suggestions and put them all in one thread. Okay. He's kind of making, like, casting a wide net with how he wants, or with how he's suggesting how to do this. And one of his suggestions is actually already in another thread, having an array, having a new keyword that specifies an array of other keywords that should be ignored. I think there were some schema processing issues with doing that, because in order to support that in the meta schema, you would have to support data in the meta schema, which is not something that we support. We could bring that in and define that if we wanted to, but I don't know that it's worth doing that right now. The others that he suggested were anything not starting with a $ or an alphabetic character would be ignored, or anything containing a whole bunch of symbols as the first character. Oh, anything containing those symbols and not the $ as the first character would be ignored. Austin responded to that, and I kind of agree with him. But yeah, looks like the state of this is we prefer to have a prefix that's ignored, a prefix for keywords. And then my recommendation is that we go with the X dash. Thoughts?
The X dash isn't my first choice, but I'm okay with it. I'm as far as the suggestion to just consider anything that basically doesn't start with a letter or a $ is an ignored keyword. I think that's probably too broad. Just in case we want to use some other prefix for some other use case in the future.
Mhm.
be able to do that. If we now just say anything,
Right.
probably very unlikely to happen, but
Yeah, there's no sense painting yourself into a corner when it's not required.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with Jason. X dash is not my first choice, but also, it does give us that opportunity to align with what OpenAPI have, as you commented on a thread somewhere, Greg. So, yeah, I think that's what I would suggest at this point.
Yeah, I think it's widely recognized as a custom. This is a custom piece of data, simply because of what OpenAPI has and the headers thing. They both follow that convention, and people seem to recognize X dash whatever. This is a custom piece of information. It's not intended to be part of validation.
So it just occurred to me that OpenAPI uses that X dash to mean something slightly different than what we're talking about. So could that be a concern that people expect it to have a certain behavior?
I've actually been diving into OpenAPI a lot recently, but I don't recall specifically what their intent was.
Yeah, so OpenAPI's their X dash is just for any custom keyword. It is more specifically for adding functionality than for annotating, like ours is.
Mm.
So and so that could be confusion when people expect to create a new functionality for their schema.
But it's functionality that they would expect the application to handle. It's not functionality that they expect the spec implementation to handle. So in that regard, they're kind of the same.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, it just popped into my head. I hadn't thought it through.
Yeah.
Karen was supporter of that X option too, I guess, right? So she replied in a couple threads, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Karen did like the X dash. I think that was her preferred.
By the way, the survey, I think that is not getting too much traction right now. So probably, yeah, I will close it this weekend. I'll send 1 or 2 final posts in social media and in Slack, but I don't expect big changes.
Yeah. I think that's good.
But 51 replies is not bad, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not ideal, but not bad.
It's not 1 million followers.
Yeah.
But,
Step by step.
Better than we usually get feedback.
Okay, so I'm still learning what is our timing. So it seems that this is going to be, this is in a good position to be the final option. What the next step might be. So wait to close the survey and have more discussions in a new issue or something.
So I think what I started doing for these discussions, so I'll wait for the survey to close, and then at the beginning of next week, I'll edit the top level comment, the opening comment for the discussion with our decision. I'll put it right at the top, and then I'll put a a line and then the rest of the thing that's in there. And then I'll close or I'll lock the conversation. And then if people want to continue discussing it, they can go somewhere else. Or like open a new discussion or something, not just like go to Reddit or whatever. But so yeah, once the survey's closed, I'll mark this with a decision, lock the discussion, and then we can move on to finishing off my PR, or Jason can submit what he's thinking, or Julian, if you want to have a crack at it, you're welcome to. But yeah, I think that's how I've been proceeding.
Well, don't expect anything from me anytime soon. I'm like way underwater right now, especially with the Google Summer of Code stuff.
Okay.
So it'll be a good couple of weeks before I can catch up, probably.
Okay, would you be opposed to me merging what I have currently and then we can come in and revise it later?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, not opposed. Yeah.
And final question from my side: is this at some point? Is this going to require a architectural design record or something like this to record the decision, or not? This case.
I think I'll leave that to Ben. I think we have quite a bit of discussion there in the GitHub discussion, and we'll have a decision marked there after next week. But Ben, if you would prefer having an ADR for it, I could probably write one up. Good, just to summarize the options and everything. I might do a blog post too.
Yeah, I think given it's important, the decision, and there's been a lot of opinion in multiple directions, and I've definitely been swayed different ways by new information. I think it might be worth having an ADR just so we sort of solidify that knowledge in one place, so we don't have to go scrapping through issues and discussions to try and find that. I know I'd find that useful, so I imagine other people might as well.
All right, sounds good. I can work those up.
Cool.
That'll probably be next week anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, also we can then just make sure everybody is on the same page about what the decision is and why we're making it as well, because not always clear when it spans such a long time period of trying to actually come to the decision.
Sounds good.
Super, thank you.
Yeah,
Benjamin, that's all from me.
Thank you, Greg. And from my side, still with this topic, when the time is right, I'll prepare some communications aligned with the post, the ADR, and everything to communicate it properly internally and externally, because we did some noise with this, so to close the loop. See,
Yeah.
if the people.
I think previously we had, like, I think last time when we went through the whole ADR thing, we published the ADR, but I think we decided that the ADR was more of a record keeping thing for us internally, and then if we want to make something more public, we need to write a blog post for it. So I think both of those options are warranted for this decision. I think as a follow-up for the previous blog post where I said we're not supporting unknown keywords anymore, this will be a good opportunity for us to say, hey, we hear you, and we'd like to, we're doing this in order to continue this support that you've very loudly asked for. But I don't think the public needs to see the ADR.
100%. 100%. And in fact, as an idea, we can include some of the data of the survey in the blog post or something like this is the real loop that is not closing, is continuing. So this is what we all decide, and let's go with the next step. So yeah, sounds perfect. Thank you. Okay. Any comment before going to the next topic? Okay, I just added a new item in the agenda to taking advantage that Jason and Julian are both in the meeting to do a quick update about Google Summer of Code because there is a lot of things going on. And if you are fine, I just wanted to share with the broad group how everything is going. Personally, I think that is so far is having a great impact in the community. There is a lot of talent, I mean, a lot good talent interested in JSON schema. That is amazing. And I don't know what you both think, but I think that we have pretty solid candidates in both projects. Julian, Jason, all yours. You're on mute, Julian.
No? Yeah, now you can hear me. No, I wasn't on mute. Zoom decided not to. Anyways. Yeah, I'm probably slightly less underwater than Jason is, but still a bit behind. So I expected to get to proposals today and probably won't. I'll probably sign off after this and get to them tomorrow. But yeah, it does seem like probably both of us have some candidates that we can get something out of, which is good. I think I have 3 or 4. There's someone else in Slack who's pinging me on the side here saying he's about to submit. And yeah, things are going well. I think there should be, well, my biggest doubt still is that we'll get both of the projects accepted, to be honest. I still I'm not banking on anything until Google comes back and says you have this many slots. So of course, while still supporting people and behaving as if we're going to get accepted, I'm not necessarily banking on it until we hear that we have green lights for both of us. But yeah, I don't know. I rambled for a second, but things are going well. I think for those of you who are not me and Jason and Benja and aren't getting moment-to-moment updates, if there's something specific about the Summer of Code status that you want to hear about that I didn't mention, let me know. Otherwise, and that's what I think for the minute.
Yeah, I've gotten 7 proposals as of this morning, and I have gone through half of them so far, and yeah, there's at least 2 people that I'd be excited to work with, and I think it's going to be difficult to choose between them, if, as Julian says, we even get the opportunity. But for now, yeah, it's a lot to review. As have their qualifying task submissions. There's been a lot of review as well. So.
Thank you both. Again, from my side, some other data. I mean, I don't want to compare with the other project ideas, but our projects are the ones are in the group of the ones that are receiving more proposals so far, and the discussions in our issues are the ones with more replies. Probably your JSON are ahead and Bouti a little bit lower, but I think that our data is great. When Postman team reached out to us offering a space for our ideas, instead of sending more than 3, 4, we decided to be conservative with 2. So my hope is that both of them are going to be accepted. Let's see. And we did our homework or running multiple office hours. You were all the time super supportive and responsive. So yeah, let's see. Crossing fingers. But in any case, this has been an amazing learning opportunity, and excited to repeat next year, hopefully with our own mentoring organization. And probably this week we will reach 5,000 members in Slack. By the way, we are very close to that number. Any comment before going to the next topic? Okay. If there is no comments in this one, I'm going to share my screen again to speak about the last topic. Is regarding this issue 360. Epic Phase, one member of the community, shared this program that is supporting internet protocols, standards, implementations, and so on, to see if something that can be interesting for us. Juan replied that tagging me and Ben, saying that looks cool, and he also suggested some ideas in how to use this support. For example, he will love to get funds to lead a proper modern compliant JSON schema tooling for C++, as this kind of tooling can provide binding to a big range of programming language, for example. Okay, so I took a look to this program. This program is coming from the government of Germany. It's an official program there. And as I just said, is to support standards implementations. I think that we fulfilled that requirement. And the minimal amount is as big as this one. So 150,000 euros minimum, the amount of funds to ask for. So it should be a big planning with timing, resources, and so on.
And what does it say? They want to support something for a term basis or project basis, or do they not specify?
Project is
Project,
my understanding.
okay.
Yeah. Project. I mean, it is basically they are expecting traditional planning with the stages, structure, timing, people, goals. Aligned with our mission, strategy, long-term goals. So we can take a look to the scope. We have present the scope discussion with the things that are our priorities. And I mean, the good thing is they are not asking for a timeline, so there is no deadline published here. So I can work on this with time. But I think it's a good opportunity. So if we have something in the scope in our charter that is like a real priority, I can put together a planning and get for your feedback to get it a great plan and submit it. First impressions?
I mean, 150K is basically, I mean, we can slice it differently, but it's something like funding full-time dev for a dev in residence for a year, something like that. So obviously, back into that, I guess, like some sort of project that's maybe 2 developers half time for a year. And to me, the most obvious candidates are things having to do with, creating new implementations or improving foundational tooling. I don't think it obviously has to be close enough that we can justify it as being part of the JSON schema spec, but also far enough that like you're not going to spend 150K doing things like tidying up the website or documentation or things like that. It has to be some sort of sizable project. I mean, to Juan's point, I don't know. I'm selfish. I don't think maybe investing in a C++ implementation is reasonable. To me, I think it's interesting as a side note that that guy who writes the Go implementation just wrote a Rust implementation that's fully compliant. So to me, I almost checked the box at this point on do we have some low-level implementation that can target the C ecosystem that has modern functionality. Maybe we should maybe we should fund the C++ implementation anyhow. But anyways, I'm just thinking out loud that, funding implementation seems like a good investment. Again, selfishly, I mean, go, Jason.
I say I could have sworn there was a C++ implementation.
There is, but it's bad. I tried to use it myself, and I don't think it's really usable.
Okay.
Again, selfishly, I think Bowtie is another candidate. If there was people working full time on that sort of stuff, also, I think you can burn through some money decently fast. Trying to hire real designers and front end people and that sort of thing. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy, and I don't think we should just ask for money that's unnecessary. And I don't think it's a year-long required project. But if you somehow package some of these things together, you could get a UX person, a front end person, someone to fill in implementations, and you can spend that amount of money. 150K is not a lot. That's 2 people half time for a year, and you'll go through that money pretty quickly. The minimum doesn't bother me. We can certainly easily hit that number, I think, with the kind of work that we want to do.
So I like the idea of making Bowtie a target for this. Ben, whatever happened to the guy we had commissioned for revamping the website? It was like a year ago.
Yeah, that work was done. It's sitting in a repository at the moment. Benjara is working to put the new site live. So there is ongoing work to put that new site live. But are you asking more generally what happened to that guy?
Well, so I was curious what happened to him, but then also what happened to. I thought there was some kind of stall out because we were trying to figure out how to pay him for his work.
Yeah, that was a bit of a saga. We did manage to actually eventually pay him.
Okay.
So there's that's kind of like finalized, like all of that has concluded, and the repository is in our organization. It's just needs work to make a few modifications and bring the content up to date from the changes that we made.
Okay.
So that work's ongoing.
I think maybe, I don't know if this would fall into the remit of this particular funding organization, but maybe just having some like cash on hand for work like that might not be a bad use for this, for just like quick wins or stuff like that. I don't know. Or maybe we'll need a logo redesign if the previous owners come back and say, hey, we want our logo back.
The previous owners can't do that.
Okay.
Because they're dead. Is that?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
yes. That is the reason.
Well, I mean, it's like the previous maintainers of JSON Schema is what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
in particular.
I think the fund requires a specific project plan laid out rather than just
Okay.
having cash on hand. There's definitely a lot we can do if we want more cash on hand to, raise those relationships with enterprise organizations that can afford to send money our way, but we need to have some quid pro quo for that, which is not support, because we're not allowed to do support for money donations for reasons. But there's a lot we can do to better incentivize donations, and we're not doing any of it. But that's kind of like a more long-term plan thing. It's something we're aware of and we can definitely work on. So if you have ideas of the projects which require sort of money to do that, like Bowtie, for example, then yeah, definitely keep a note of them somewhere. Maybe even make a project and we can capture these items and put ballparks against them and just say like, hey, like if we had some more money, here's the things you could be having in the ecosystem. I think that will be a useful thing to have track of.
Another one that might overlay more with the sovereign tech fund style would be the academics that are doing the formalization work. I'm sure they secured some funding from their institutions, which is probably how they're working on this stuff. But those are always the kinds of people that if we slightly further bring them under the umbrella, they I'm sure will not turn down an offer of us saying, hey, we have X $100,000 and we want you to do X, Y, and Z and do that under our umbrella kind of thing. Whether that's some formalized implementation or whether it's further investigation. Obviously, we can be more specific than that, but I feel like those people both need the funding, would probably have ideas of what they would use the funding on, and are, as of now, doing that outside of our umbrella. And if we brought them closer, we probably could justify applying on their behalf.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It definitely can't hurt to reach out to them to see where they're at and if they have any further plans. It sounded like the last time I spoke to them, at least they had some further research they wanted to do, but they didn't put forward any timescales. So yeah, it'd be good if we could make sure we know who those individuals are and we have them in our I guess CRM system to make sure we track those properly.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Start using better the tool. Do we have the name of some people in the community that is in that group of academics, research institutions, teams?
Yeah, they're on Slack, and I have email communications back and forth with them. Are you asking what their name is? It's Giancarlo. I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, if you can send the emails to Benja, then he can capture them in our system and tag them so we can easily find them and yeah.
I will forward them over.
Yep, I have another name. So when I spoke like 2 months ago, that was doing some research regarding crazy stuff for databases. So I put the information together and share it. Maybe it's worth to create an issue to start gathering ideas for candidates for this one. That makes sense. So we can have the discussion open to anyone there. This is a yes.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that comes to mind is getting some serious work on developing the vocabularies and actually having there are people in the community that are potentially interested in championing that work, but don't have the time or the drive to do it. And if they were funded, they could really drive that work forward and get that kickstarted and get get all the people together in the right room. So that's another option.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be interested in helping with the vocabulary work. That is interesting to me.
I mean, it can be multiple initiatives in the same project planning, right?
Yeah. Yeah, each vocabulary probably warrants its own group of people.
Yeah, like we needed someone to manage the database vocabulary work. I don't know what the status of that is. I haven't followed up with people from Oracle, and they really needed a lot more help and hand holding through that process. And I don't know where things are with them. So yeah, that's just one of the examples.
Okay. So we will continue the discussion in this same issue or a new. I mean, I think that this I suggested creating a new issue, but we have the 360. So 360. Let's continue in that one. I'll update with the notes including the things that we discussed, and let's revisit in a couple of weeks to see what is the status and start working in a planning. So it will be great within a couple of weeks to get rid of the stage of Google season of code, Google Summer of docs, all the stuff, so we can work in this one. Any other comment before closing, because we are done with the agenda?
The only other thing is the potential for a in-person meeting. It's unfortunate Greg can't make it due to timing, but I suspect we will have another opportunity to all meet Greg in person at some point in the future, hopefully this year. But this plan is in motion. I will keep you posted as to what's happening with that, and if we'll be able to move forward with that. Of course, keep an eye out for conferences that are interesting, and if there is a conference you want to go to, then do speak up, and we'll see if we can make that happen. That's all from me.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, everyone. Regarding this comment from Ben, there is a discussion open in collaborators channel, so we can continue speaking there. And thank you, everyone, for connecting, and have a rest of the day. For the ones that are still in a good timing, and for Ben and myself, let's go to sleep. And it was great to see you all, and let's continue speaking in GitHub and Slack. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thanks.
Bye.
Hey.